Hello and welcome back to another episode of Pass the Syrup, the Agents podcast. 4 agents featuring agents, wonderful, wonderful agents. Today I am joined by two magnificent agents, and Buckler makes his third appearance. We've got Chris Buckler of The Estate Agency, original. We've got Steph Walker and Alex Pelosi-Buchanan. Hi guys, how's it going? Everyone good? Quick intros. Everybody knows you. You're celebrities in the world of estate agency for all the wrong reasons, Chris. So we are going to get straight into it. Today, we're going to look at the Agents Together issue, the mentor-mentee charity headed up by Sam Offley. He's going to present his issue of the week that mentees have put forward. You guys are going to provide wonderful solutions to the issues they've got. And then we're going to have a general chit chat about all sorts of nonsense, which is what we're good at as estate agents. So let me share with you Sam's issue of the week.
Hello, Pastor Syrup guests. Now, my question for you this week is, what advice would you give to someone who's dealing with uncertainty?
Wow, that's nice and vague. This should throw out some interesting answers. Alex, you look confident as hell. Go on, what you got for us?
Well, I think in terms of uncertainty, I guess it just comes down to really, obviously, there's so many, again, it could be so many different things, as you said, Ben, but I think it's uncertainty, if we keep it to the property market for a second, I think probably for a lot of people who are uncertain about whether now's the right time to move, right time to sell, right time to buy, I think it just comes down to, you've just got to do things if it's right for you, if it just kind of everything feels right. I think that there are so many different factors, and I think a lot of people feel, is now the right time to sell? Should I wait till spring? Should I wait till summer? But it's just a case that, if things are happening in your life, and I think people's lives change all the time. So it's just really looking at things. And I think history is a great teacher in some ways. I think when you look at back at the property markets that we've seen over the last few years, you think what we've been through. And I think it goes to show that the property market is resilient, and that, buying a house still can be a good decision. I think everyone's just always afraid of making the wrong decision. But I think, as the saying goes, time in the market is always better than timing the market. So I just think for anybody who is uncertain about whether now is the right time to move, I think if it just feels right, go for it.
If it feels right, go for it. Kiss the girl. Just go for it. Okay. Steph?
Can I just say, I don't believe in uncertainty. I think that's just a cop-out, really. I think probably people are absolutely certain of what they want to do or how they feel or the pitch they want to give or whatever situation they're in. They just haven't got the balls to do it. And that's no way to live life. You've just got to jump in with 2 feet. You know which angle you're leaning to. You absolutely do. So get on with it.
I'm just thinking of those poor mentees that have asked the question there, coming from like, I'm going to be really raw and put myself out there, and Steph, no such thing as uncertainty.
Wow, that's got to be the worst impression I've ever heard.
No.
You've done some duds.
It's not.
You've just really offended everybody from Yorkshire there, and all the Scousers as well at the same time.
Go on then, Christopher. What have you got?
So I think it's actually quite good, and I can lean from both points of other esteemed guests. You've got to advise. So if it is uncertain, if someone's upsizing, it's quite good. If someone says, I'm going to wait for the market to bounce back, what can you give them to say isn't going to bounce back in 2024, which is my opinion. I'm giving that advice to my cousins. I'm giving that advice to clients. And I think kind of like what Steph says, you know what your pitch is, but actually are you giving advice and listening to the client and working out if it's the right decision for them or not? And ultimately, you, like Alex says, it's not about timing the market, it's time on the market, other way around, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But genuinely, it's that consultative approach and an agent's advising rather than just being, a shiny suit from Next and trying to nick as many properties as they can, knowing they won't sell. And I think that's, if you're uncertain, you need to sharpen your tool set so that you can really be seen as a trusted advisor.
And just, trusted advisor. Okay. Really popular term, really popular a few years ago. When a client asks for advice, you're specific in your advice, right? Like a client says, is a certain day of the year the best day to go to the market? We won't get into that right now, but you'll give advice, right? You'll give you're happy to tell it how it is, your opinion, what you think is best. Or does the client tell you, that's the day I want to go to market? and you're going to do it, and you're going to say, well, if that's best for you, because I saw a really funny post before this podcast.
You've got to have space for a little bit of both in a conversation, in that, you know, opinion is just that. It's what you think, it's what you believe. And look, that can vary from an agent sat at a desk in one shop to, you know, the guy sat in the shop next to him. So I think what you've got to say is, what's the client looking to achieve? How close can we get to making that picture perfect? And in my experience, this is what I do to try and achieve that as close as possible. And I'm just going to say vibing again. I don't know why I'm feeling the Christmas vibe, just feeling the vibe in general. I promise I'm not hungover again this episode.
No, I think you're 6 hours before the hangover, aren't you?
I'm getting ready to pour a gin. But yeah, kind of go, you know, what within my repertoire is going to help you try and achieve that end? This is how I play it as it stands today. You know, I think any estate agent trying to say that they know exactly what's happening next year or sat there with their crystal ball is a complete bullshitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on their prediction, right? Like,
unless it vibes with mine, and then, you know, therefore they are.
Yeah, if they've got a different opinion to me, then they're absolutely full of shit. Whereas if they're saying exactly what I say, then they've nailed it. Of course.
Spot on.
Right, mentees, I apologise. I thought we were going to help you out there, but I feel like we probably made it more difficult for you. So it is what it is. Listen, you're all adults. You're going to be okay. It's fine. Bit of uncertainty, that's life. Bit of certainty, that's bullshit. Whatever you want to call it, just you're good. You're solid.
I do actually have some advice, but it's to do with my point later, so I'm not going to steal my own.
You're holding on to it.
Yeah.
Holding on to it. Okay. All right. Well, that is the sort of hook I'm looking for, actually, Steph. That is gold star to Steph. Now you guys got to watch till the end.
Absolutely.
Don't fast forward. That doesn't help us. Pelosi-Buchanan, you're desperate to go first. You've got your little general behind you.
I have.
Christmas vibing up big time. Look like you're about to save the world in this jumper. What have you got for us? Tell us.
Well, I think, you know, this is a topic that's been widely disputed. It comes around every year around Christmas time, around the festive period, and I know there are some people on this panel already that have quite strong opinions, probably on this topic. And I know it's going to divide the room, but I'd love to know what the panel thinks and what other people out there think, whether this is something that should be done over Christmas, and it's whether Yorkshire puddings belong on a Christmas dinner. Now, I'm a fan for, but what do you guys think?
Oh my God, Steph, are you saying no?
Absolutely not.
Oh
my God.
What's a Yorkshire pudding got to do? I mean, come on. So tell me what's on your plate. Come on. It's a bit of turkey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Carrot and swede. Roasties, gravy, sprouts.
Pigs in blankets?
Oh, well, yeah, of course. Come on.
Oh, well, you got to remember they're a quite important piece of the pie there.
You know what really annoys me, though? Does anybody remember when Marxies did the cheese in the bacon? Like cheese in blankets? And then they stopped doing them. What's up with that?
Cheese.
Well, for me,
cheese in general, or
yeah, I'm not a cheese person. Yeah, I'm a.
You've got to have a cheese
how have we got
the Christmas dinner?
This is so bad for me right now.
That's like the fourth course.
This is going to expose me.
Pretty sure, Steph. Pretty sure Waitrose do them. Just a little plug. Just yeah.
What about? I mean, what about Aldi?
Yeah. All good, all the lots of different supermarkets, all leading ones.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want the sponsors getting involved here. There are other supermarkets available. Yorkshire is an absolute staple of any roast I have. Also, my mother-in-law brings round pork. She does pork, so we have turkey and pork.
Yeah.
So good.
So Ben, one of the things I don't like about the South, so all my family originate from Yorkshire, hence me being able to do such a great Yorkshire accent, is it's all packet stuff down here. No one makes a Yorkshire pudding in the South, and I find it awful. So are yours made, or are they pre-prepped?
So my nan used to work at a pub. She was a chef at a pub and made proper Yorkshires, and I've got a real love for them. Thick, heavy ones, not these crispy nonsense. But no, now we're out of the pack. We've just got, we don't have enough oven, we don't have enough space in the kitchen to cook for
I thought you'd be out
13
of the pack
people.
and you'd have some great history, but you'd be going a bit bland now. It's a shame, Ben. It's a real shame.
Well, I mean, the more you get to know me, the more that presents itself as most people's
I mean,
opinion
the
on
man
me.
doesn't like cheese, for God's sake. That should have told us everything we need to know.
The more people get to know me, the weirder they find out that I am. So I've got a real issue with texture. So let's just get into it. Sod it. Okay, I'm sharing. I've got an issue with texture. So my roast dinner is meat, potato, Yorkshires, no veg, no gravy.
No gravy.
I everything I have is plain and dry. I don't eat pasta. I don't have sauces.
You don't have mayo on anything.
No mayo. Anything that's wobbly.
Not even a little bit of cranberry.
Nothing wobbly is allowed in my mouth.
Got to be fab.
And that's the social clip right there, baby.
Yay!
Nothing wobbly.
Just firm and not moist by the sound of things.
Anything moist is an absolute no.
Yeah.
It's caused issues in the past, Chris. That's all I'm going to say.
I can imagine. Those jizzy boys, eh?
I'm a one for moist puddings, so that's my. I got to have the gravy.
Yeah, how do you guys feel about a starter on Christmas Day?
Oh,
yeah, I'll have a starter. Only to kind of sort of sober the alcohol up, but yeah.
I think you can spoil your main. I think you spoil your roast because everyone does starters, of course. I'm doing Well, actually, I'm not. I have a private chef bringing my starters this year.
Nice.
But you're just full up. You are full up. And every year you go, we won't do starters next year. And then every year you go, I don't want to look like a skinflint. I've got to have starters on the table.
Well, this year we've decided not to do starters because of that. It's a lot of effort. Putting stuff in, stuff out, running out of plates, running out of cutlery. You've got too many people in the house, kids running everywhere. One big roast. That works for me. And a load of dessert, obviously.
I have 2 Christmas dinners.
He's a vicar of Dibley.
So on the same day, or
on the same day. So I go to my parents-in-law at lunch, and they do like a long, drawn-out Christmas dinner. So there's like courses, and then I go over to my parents then in the evening, and I have a second dinner. So yeah, come Boxing Day, I'm absolutely ruined in ways.
Shift.
Oh yeah,
that is a shift.
But I like my food. Anyone who knows me will tell you I can eat. I'm always the first one at the buffet. So
fair play. I thought the roll neck was for the Christmas vibe, but it's actually covering up your 6 chins, isn't it?
It is.
Fair play. I've got time for that.
Alex, if you're absolutely ruined on Boxing Day, how are you going to look at all the properties that you're sending?
Segue. Would anyone like to discuss that subject?
Well, I was going to say, I'm not sure if that's someone. So Steph's had some views on that over the last couple of weeks on LinkedIn.
Do you know, it's funny, right? So if anybody's actually read the post that I've put on, I am not saying don't launch houses on Boxing Day. My personal opinion would be probably not to. And there's a data graph from Rightmove that supports that views are way higher from sort of January 9th onwards than they are beginning of the month. So really, again, that's just a personal opinion thing. My argument on my posts was, don't you think it's ludicrous that people are launching all these homes on Boxing Day and then are not there to take inquiries? And one of the comments, and this guy rattled on for 5 or 6 responses.
Who was it, Steph? Just out of interest.
Do you know what? I don't actually know the guy, but I could probably look at his name.
He's not a social face. Clearly.
Yeah, did it rhyme with a sniff? Wackler? Was it?
Wackler, brilliant.
But this guy was basically saying that, nobody expects a response anyway. And I was like, what a shit fucking view on client service. You're missing. That's where you're setting your stall out. No one expects a response anyway. Like, get real. Come on.
But
that's a joke.
Doesn't that give you massive confidence about your own business? That's what you're up against.
Do you know, actually, it makes me sad about the state of the industry, because I know there are lots of businesses out there that are tackling some of these issues and are really trying to, raise the game of everybody. But if that is a subset of the agency population out there, and that's genuinely how they think, we've got a bigger uphill struggle than I thought, quite frankly. I assumed that because people in certain styles of agency sort of just had to go with the status quo, that they book against it personally in terms of their own thoughts, but couldn't really do much about it. But actually, there's just this general apathy, and quite frankly, it's saddening.
But look, the consumer has the opinion of us for a reason. It's because this is what they experience. This is the day-to-day out there. Sound like I get a bit preachy, but the average agent doesn't care that much about service. Where's the commission check? And there's no journey between listing and getting paid. That's when the entire journey takes place. But it's I think it's pretty painful out there. For a very personal perspective, that allows for a lot of opportunity. But I agree with you that it's a shame this is where we are and how much work is required to really change the culture. But does anyone want to talk about Boxing Day? Because we're in it. But if we don't, I'm not that fussed. I did it today. I put something on my Instagram saying I'm sick and tired of hearing agents debate Boxing Day. Like these guys are changing the world with this conversation. Like your post, I didn't actually see it, Steph. Although I saw a follow-up today to what must have been the original, which said something like, good luck arguing with yourself about the thing that I'm not even talking about. Which that's social media all over, isn't it? Like, just read the freaking post, you numpty. This is not, you've read a headline and you're miles off. Anyway, Boxing Day, no? If not, I'm coming straight to you, Steph, with whatever you want to talk about.
Can I throw one tip out? If you have a shop and you're
Chris Buckler tip, this is going to be good.
None of these self-employed models that don't have shop fronts know what they're doing. One of the things we used
bedroom estate agents.
I know, right? In my first business we used to have properties go live on Boxing Day. This was 10 years ago, maybe. But I would drive down to our shop front, open it up, put the lights on, put the flags out, and have the calls divert to myself and my business partner, and we alternated it every year. We'd pick up the calls and people would be like, oh, I didn't expect that. I wanted to leave a message. We'd then say, oh, we're open literally over the Christmas period. And we would always get an instruction over those 3 days of people just being like, we're so impressed that you guys are open and picking up the phones. So if you're a 1 or 2 branch high street, you can go down, put your flags out, turn your lights on and divert the calls. You'll get stuff.
I agree.
I do find it hard for a significant business to close between Christmas and New Year. We weren't a significant business. We were 4 branches, 60 people. In simple terms, we need to open to do some business because there's a lot of overhead that comes with that. We can't just shut the business down for 10 days. Can't we have a third of the month where we're not invoicing? And as it happens, December always used to be quite a good month for us. We were heavily lettings, but everyone else slows down. So more opportunity knocking at the door. But yeah, in our nice little business we got now, we don't need to be in between Christmas and New Year. It's quite nice. Anyway, I mean, if this is coming out, we try and get this released on Boxing Day, maybe see what the views do. Steph, what would you like to chat about?
So it does actually open a little bit towards what Sam spoke about in his Career of the Week, actually. So if anybody went to the MAB conference, or if anybody's just been alive this year in a estate agency, there's a really good argument to say it's probably been the toughest year in the last decade, right? And particularly at the MAB conference, they were talking about potentially the worst year since the global financial crisis. So.
But sorry, is that for transaction volume, Steph?
Yeah, and just general toughness, general trying to engage people to actually go out and make purchases rather than having this lagging latency that they've been, I feel like that's been hanging around for the last 18 months in various corners of the market. So I just really want to talk about, what should estate agents, business owners, anybody involved in this industry, what really should their thought process be going into next year? And I wanted to open the floor by saying, get really, really honest with yourself. What are you really good at? What are you truly good at? I think there's a big thing in our industry where we just say the competition shit, and we sit on that hill and we believe it. And actually, we're the only ones that believe that. So, what do your competitors do really well? What do you do that's something really different? And even staff members can think about this, right? In that, what does the neg that sits, across the branch from you do really well? What do you do really well? It's going to be a highly competitive year. It's going to be a very, very tough year. Overheads are not going anywhere. And there's going to be that uncertainty. I'm sure there's quite a few people asking, actually, from an uncertain perspective, is my job going to be there next year, and those sorts of things. So I think my advice going into next year, and I'm loving to hear what you guys are going to say, but get really honest with yourself, really super, super honest, know what you're good at, know what you're not so good at, and really focus on playing to your strengths, regardless of what role you have in agency.
Okay. Alex, response?
So I agree with Steph. I think it's just very much a case that you just need to know who your players are and what their strengths are. And also, I think that this is going to be the market where the good agents and the really good agents are going to stand above the crowd. I do think that there's a lot of agents who've come into the industry probably over the last few years who had it easy. Obviously, we've had a market where you didn't really have to sell anything to be agreed, didn't have to negotiate. You just booked the viewings, took the offers, presented the offers and agreed to sell. Now we're actually having to negotiate, and not just in terms of offers, you're having to convince buyers that I really think you should come and see this house. And I think that's the difference now, is where the agents that perhaps have got that prior experience or are willing to do the graft will be the ones that come out on top. And I think sadly there will be a lot of agents that probably will sink because they sat around waiting for the phone to ring. They're waiting for their they've launched the properties on Boxing Day and they've decided to close for 10 days. It's all those kind of things that they're the agents. Whereas, as Chris said, the agents that are in there doing the graft, sat in there on Boxing Day, or even into next year, the ones that are grafting to make the deals happen will be the ones that will succeed. So, I agree with Steph.
If I can just ask a question to you, Alex, and this isn't asking for me, Chris, or you to stop pitching self-employed models, but for those people that are maybe sat feeling a bit uncertain in that branch, call eXp. Don't, by the way. But sorry, I had to say that. But what would you say to those guys that actually, outside of just doing a really good job for the branch and the clients, next year's a little bit out of their control?
Well, I think for any of those who, again, there's probably agents out there now that are thinking, I'm just 3 months into my self-employment journey, and a lot of people were saying it seemed like a mad time to do it with the way the market is. But I think there is so much more opportunity out there now. And coming back to that thing about the good agents, I don't think there's been a better time to go out self-employed, because I think there's, when we're in a busy market, a lot of self-employed agents wouldn't even get a look in. Especially like me, because I worked in a different area and I've come back to my hometown area where I'm not the go-to agent. There's well-established agents. But I've had so many opportunities to get in front of people, and I think in a nuts market, you might not get that look in. And I think, in some ways, if you are, committed to what you're doing, this is what you'll want to do, and you're willing to put the hours in. For those who might be sitting in a branch being told that they've got to put on the pinstripe suit and, they've got to, doing their 250 phone calls a day. I think in this, I want more. I think next year could be your best year. But you've just got to be willing to.
What's your pledges? Remember that.
Yeah. What's your pledge?
Pledges. Oh.
Yeah. How many calls are you going to get? How many connects are we going to get today? I think, and there's still something to be said for that. I still think that is something as a self-employed agent you need to be willing to do once you've got that database, is to keep working it. But I think that for a lot of agents who are concerned about the market, or even maybe the company they're working for, because there are operations around by me that are closing constantly, bigger networks that are shutting branches, and they've come off Rightmove, and you can all the signs are there, and you just think, if you might be an agent sat in one of those offices and thinking, well, what next? Self-employed could be a good option for you, but like I said, it doesn't come without its risks. Does that answer the question? I'm not even sure.
That was such a long response. I can't remember what the question was.
Hey, it's not called pass the syrup for nothing. So.
Yeah, waffle in the house. No, it's
exactly.
good for you. Chris, what do you think about?
I'd switched off, to be honest. No, there's loads in there that I agree with both. I think focus on what you can control, right? So one of my mentors in my old world when I was at the States was like, the British estate agency market is simply servicing a lead, whereas in the US we go and create that lead. That's where the value is. Anyone can service a lead. So actually, when you say focus on what you can control, going back to Steph's initial point, what is your clearly defined value proposition? What do you do to ensure that before you're going on that valuation, you are positioning yourself to win it before you even get there, right? Positioning yourself against the property. So when we moved house about 14 months ago, I called all the local agents out. I thought, brilliant, I'll nick a few of those to come and get them self-employed. And they were shocking. They talked about what fee they would do, how long they've been in the area, and their Rightmove pie charts.
You recruited a lot of them, did you?
Yeah. No, I sent them to eXp. No, I didn't. I sent them to wherever. But the point is, one of the things we work on is how do you position yourself as that advisor before you get there? What interactions are you having with the client before? So we had, I don't care, we had KFH and Winkworth, I'll say it as it is, both turn up within 5 minutes of each other, and their pre-val calls weren't, oh, can you, just to reconfirm why you're moving, how would you position your property? If I knock your socks off, can you instruct me then and there? It wasn't a really great scripted process. It was, oh, we think our value is running late, but we can't get through to them. Or can we move it 15 minutes early? We're on your drive. I was just like, this is an absolute show. So like you kind of alluded to, the average agent isn't someone that really cares about their client, Ben Nath. Your words, not mine. But actually, we're not going up against rocket scientists. So what is your value proposition? How do you control, if you can't control the market, you can control how likely you are to win those valuations, in my opinion. And you can also control where you spend your time. So it's going to be a tougher market. What are you doing to upskill yourself and ensure that you're bringing leads into that funnel? And all the self-employed models are great. Now's a great time to do it.
And look, Alex, don't take it personally that eXp is being dug out. It's just no one's heard of the estate agency, so we can't slaughter them.
It's old news.
Such an unknown little business.
Oh, Alex has heard of us. Alex has heard of us. Another story for another day.
Okay, yeah, I feel like we should get into that. Okay, no, all right, fine. Look, I mean,
it actually confused us with the agency UK. That's where it was really applying.
I was going to say I just completely went so sidewind and somehow just fell into eXp instead. So
listen, it happens. It happens to all the people that end up jumping ship. So my two penneth. Look, we set up our original business in 2008, and bit of a horror show back then, but we came out pretty well. Someone, I'm not sure if it was Alex or Steph, said, about things being out of your control. What I take away from that is that, I mean, Chris already alluded to a few things. Someone was meant to have a meeting with me on Monday at 4 p.m. and at 4:05 they called and said, sorry, we've had a power cut. Can we reschedule? And the power cut came just as your mobile died and you couldn't call me at 4 o'clock or at 5 to 4. But the story is not about this useless operator calling me late. It's actually I only had a 2-hour window left in my week for the whole week ahead, and that was at Monday afternoon. So I said, I've got 2 hours then, can you make it? No, blah, blah, blah. The point I'm really making is we have control over our diary to fill it with lead generation activities. He was astonished that at this time of year, my diary is so full. I'm like, oh, you're doing nothing to win my business here. Everything wrong. I don't think work ethic is something that's seasonal. December, huge opportunity, set yourself up for a great year. We can sit back, put our feet up, advent calendars, think about Christmas parties, or we can do what we do every week, every month, every day to generate opportunities. There's a bit of KPI bashing going around. I think, actually KPIs are useful if they're used appropriately. I think setting appropriate targets, not can I bank this amount of money? It's can I have this many conversations? Can I knock on this many doors? Can I create for us, the one key metric is how many times can we get over the threshold? We know how many valuations result in an exchange. So how many valuations do we need to get this year to get the exchanges that we want to do? It's really basic, simple maths. If next year is going to be tough, someone's still going to win. It's just whether you want to be the winner or not. It's not. So transactions are down massively. I don't want to. I'm not going to say our specific metrics because it sounds like I'm bragging. We've had an amazing year. I'll leave it as vague as that. But we've taken deals from other businesses. And this podcast is designed to help agents. And it sounds counterintuitive for me to say, we're going to take stuff off them. But I'm wildly competitive, and in our business, in our model, we have to do what we have to do, and we're going to win, and we're going to make sure we win. You're right, Alex. Some businesses are going to disappear. There's an argument to say that's a good thing, actually. Are we carrying some fodder? We talked about the customer service example earlier on that Steph was talking about. Maybe the fodder leaving the market allows us to take slightly bigger piece of the pie, drive up service levels, increase fees, and make this the industry that it should be. Go on, Chris.
The only thing I want to do to counter that. So that's a very kind of not right wing, but a very
Well, tell me what you really think. Hold on, where's my hold on.
I've
Can you
seen your
see my
Union
swastika?
No. I thought it was on your back.
When did you see that?
When didn't I?
That's another story, guy.
That's another story. There are great agents and great agencies that are brilliant, offer world-class service, but they aren't great business owners. So one of my tips and bits here is, and let's just say, because we've got 3 self-employed pods here, let's talk about the self-employed.
We've got self-employed guys, haven't we? Come on.
Yeah, but I'm talking proper models.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, I was gonna
we're not just giving that
turn the room against me there. I'll leave it alone.
But okay, F&C, whoever, right? Let's be really fair, or any estate agencies, being a world-class agent and a world-class business owner are very, very different skill sets. And I love being out, knocking on doors, speaking to people, but actually I've had to force myself to understand budgeting and P&L and all types of things. So my one tip and trick is, yes, it's going to be hard, but then you need to understand, certainly for self-employed agents, what your runway is, what your budget is. It's all well and good you spending all time lead generating, but if you're not lead generating, say for lettings business, when you need 3 or 4 just to keep the wall from the doors whilst your pipe goes through. So I think on top of all the tips so far is you have to understand the financial implications of your actions, not just how many leads get us there. That's a key metric, Ben, and that's the only one arguably in our business. How many leads result in how many exchanges? That's number one. But I think very closely or under that is you have to understand the financial implications of every decision you make in your business. So one of the things we do is every Friday, 4 o'clock, it's a P&L run through, and it's not kind of your high street P&L run through, but it's individual agents get to turn up. They don't have to share. But it very much is, and even if it's 0 at the start, you start celebrating when they turn to 1s or it's negative. But teaching people or go onto YouTube, drop me a DM, whatever, and how do I set up my business financials? Because someone like Alex, for example, world-class agent, and I hate to say Alex, but you are an incredible agent. Your social's incredible. I don't know what you're like as a business owner, but for every 10 of you, 4 might fail because they don't understand the implications of their financial model, and so go and learn it.
Well, we'll take away the blowing smoke up, Alex, and also the little bit pitchy, look me up, send me a DM, let's have a chat. We'll forget that bit. But you really hit the nail on the head. I was at a meeting close to 2 months ago, Property Academy. So sort of well-regarded agents. It was a large-scale meeting, not a small group meeting. I was on a table with 6 or 7 other agents, and a piece of the session was around understanding your P&L, cash flow forecasting. What I personally, although now in hindsight, 20 years in business, of course I should know that stuff, I was astonished that nobody else on my table knew their margins. They didn't know any of their financials whatsoever. And I found that astonishing. But maybe actually we're agents, aren't we? That's not really where we like to spend our time. That's not really where we spend our focus. We're filling the top of the funnel as much as we can, but we're forgetting that at the bottom of the funnel, it's got to pay for everything else. So, yeah, it's a very good point, Chris. And yeah, people do need to be 100% conscious of it. One other thing I did get from that meeting, though, that I think is worth sharing from a bit of an optimism perspective. Sorry, no, it wasn't at that meeting. It was a different one. Sorry. Is on the market takeover. CoStar are going to invest huge amounts of money in terms of advertising and getting that portal out there, and turn it from off the market to actually on the market, and get some consumer eyes on that platform. That's a good thing. The point that I was made in this other meeting is that what are Rightmove going to do? They're going to counter that and spend probably equal to, if not more, money to maintain their position. So in 2024, we could see an astonishing amount of advertising around property portals, which will encourage potentially more activity. Those thinking about a move may be prompted to take activity. So, just for a little bit of balance, next year is going to be tough, getting away from it. That sounds wonderful to me. I think easy markets make for crap agents. Tough markets, we'll see some good stuff. But there's, I also think next year will be better than this year, because, we're not hopefully no one's coming in with pipelines like they did last year after Liz trusted her thing. So Steph, happy with that conversation around that subject?
Yeah, I think there's lots for people to take away from that.
Lovely. So we've saved Chris till last. Go on, what you got? Let's hear it.
I'll tag on to what you was going to say. To be honest, I've done no prep for this whatsoever.
You're such a...
I know, yeah, but yours is one of the easier podcasts because you do it so well. What do we think the dangers of a Rightmove or an on the market or even a Zoopla gradually turning into an agent? And the reason I asked that is I've seen lots of people. I hate Rightmove. They're now nicking RFS. They're going into mortgages. They're a bunch of whatever they are. And hot air, what, etc. But I'd love to get everyone's view on that. The other thing, I guess, the preamble to this is if you look at Zillow, which is a US, Steph will know this story, a US version, I guess, of Zoopla in a roundabout way. And they said, yeah, we're never going to become an agency. We're never going to become some realtors. And then lo and behold, they started selling their leads back to their own clients, the agents were getting pissed off. Then they launched themselves as a brokerage model or an estate agency, and everyone was like, "Oh, I never saw that coming." What's the risk of Rightmove on the market or Zoopla doing that? Do we think it's real, and do we really have much control as agents?
I would just like to say I think the playing field is rather different from the States. We don't have an MLS to start with, and so actually, you know, there's an element of FSBO, for sale by owner, that was already working predominantly in a much huger way in the States, for people that avoided the MLS but then used the portal. Our clients don't have that ability as yet, so we're several steps behind. But in the same way, there was a real fundamental reason to cut out the agent in the States, right? In that you're going to save 1 or 2 parts of commission. So I think our challenges or the proposition is slightly different here. And I think, quite frankly, Rightmove earns so much money. The danger to Rightmove are our models, quite frankly. Obviously, we get impinged on that, very much so. We all feel the pain. Not necessarily Alex, but I'm sure me and Chris really feel the pain. I think it's going to be more about Rightmove looking at our type of models and seeing where they can, you know.
Can I go straight in with your time? And this is not, we'll get onto your part in a minute, Chris. Rightmove are now offering solos the ability to list, right?
Yeah.
Does that impact you guys?
No, I'm going to say no. I tell you why. Yeah. So, in fact, I've had one gentleman say, "Listen, I'm going to go down that route," and then I think one of the beauties, and Alex can probably attest to this as an independent, is that you pay a minimal desk fee, but you get the CRM support, guidance, marketing, tech, all chucked in. So, a lot of people, including myself, need that to be part of a model, a bigger picture, wider learnings, wider sharing. So to then go and, well, now I've got to get some CRM to upload it, or I'll just upload directly and then work it. I just don't think it makes for a long term. I think if you are going to do that, come and work with one of the self-employed models and then go off by yourself if you don't find value in the model you're with. I think they're doing it to try and compete with the models, but I haven't had, and you guys will know from your models, but I haven't had much of an impact by one guy who said he was going to go and do it that way.
What I find interesting is it hasn't been really widely covered. It was a mate of mine, an agency, said, "Oh, we've seen they're doing this now. Wonder what will happen with that." But normally that's the sort of thing Rightmove would splash all over the trade press, but not masses and masses of coverage.
I don't think they want to give it coverage, though, do they, really? I think they're probably just, it's like an A/B test, isn't it? Just see what ripples this causes. And I suppose, look, there's a lot of conventional businesses that look at models like ours that think we get Rightmove for free or for very, very cheap anyway, and really get annoyed with us, which honestly, we don't. So I think Rightmove have to seem to be exploring some of these different avenues without necessarily making it headlines. But to be fair, I think, not to be fair, actually, that's not the right phrase. Rightmove police everything very heavily, right? Every single infraction is jumped upon very, very quickly. But again, back to the point, I just think we don't have an MLS. Our consumer proposition is very different. In fact, we don't really have one, but our consumer proposition is very different in the UK. And so going straight to for sale by owner, I just don't see why it would make sense to them.
Well, the options are already out there. I mean, there are companies out there that you can just list your home by the week, or you can go and pay 99 quid and chuck your house on the market. You know, that is already out there for people.
Is that your latest offering, Alex?
What's that? Sorry?
Is that your latest offering, is it?
It is, yeah. Sell
Oh,
any
okay,
house for no
Hold on,
agency.
hold on. 5 minutes ago, he's a world-class agent. You've changed your tune.
But,
he is.
But I think that it just comes down to, you know, there are always going to be people out there that won't want to pay. They'll be quite happy to do it direct and say, I can do it myself. But it's shown in America and it's shown in other countries that people will always need an estate agent. You know, they're always going to need someone there who's going to, you know, people want to have that back and they want to have that support. And I think that's what people don't really see the value in, and people like you said, Steph, I think underestimate what we do and actually how much work's involved in actually what we do as an agent. And I think that's why it's up to us to make sure that we're doing that.
And I think being sensible, you know, whether Rightmove's sensible or not, I suppose that's a debate for another time. But you know, probably one of the most profitable businesses in forever. So
like
yeah,
90% profit margin or something.
Yeah,
I think
just insanity. But you know, look at Purple Bricks, Strike, whatever, those sorts of scenarios only ever reached a ceiling in terms of market share, and that ceiling has dropped in terms of people gravitating towards that style of non-agency. And so what is Rightmove going to do? Piss off 95+% of the actual market that currently exists and pays a subscription model? And Ben, you and I were in that meeting that said, you know, if you can have a subscription model, you're on your way to profitability for sure. To just try and be this very small bit player in, you know, the general consumer may not treat us in the way that I think lots of us should, or view us in a way, but they certainly think they need us. Otherwise, Purple Bricks would have ran the market and not be in the position it's in now.
Yes, it's the risk versus reward, isn't it? There's a lot of risk for them taking that route. And as you quite rightly point out, Purple Bricks market share, which I think is the best case study we have to look at how it could work, it hit a ceiling. And the brand awareness of Purple Bricks, we've seen the data on that, well, you know better than anyone, Steph, was amazing. As a property business, brand awareness, what they spent, share of voice, absolutely phenomenal to get to that position and then start to retract. I think the issue we have in this country is it's a cultural thing that we don't collectively want to do it ourselves. We want somebody else to do it for us really cheap. We just don't want to do it ourselves. Don't get me wrong. There's the cultural shift we need is so significant to try and get to a position where people see the value in what we do and that we're not just commodities. But I think from the interesting question, Chris, more is where they're going to go with the finance side, because the new top guy at Rightmove obviously comes from a tech finance, fintech background. And already I was in a room with him and 12 other people, and some promises were made around what was going to happen around Rightmove and new charging model, you know, different feeds. And that's already, you know, they've gone in a completely different direction to that. So sort of we've seen the colours very, very quickly. You know, a new head of state doesn't mean a new direction, apparently, in terms of agent relationships. But I think, yeah, there's going to be some interesting moves towards them breaking into financial markets for sure, because that's his specialty, and he'll see huge opportunity there. If you want to take on agents, that would also be such an expense to get that up and running and get that live. I think the risk would be too high. What do you think, Chris?
I don't think it will happen, but I think there's a risk of a portal being able to do that with the data they have, and it's the data play I think that's pretty scary. You off to the gym, Ben? Just wondered why you're drinking 5 litres of water.
Oh, I thought it was a gun show comment. Thanks, mate. Cheers.
No, it's more the water. So I don't know. I think on the FS side of things, it's an interesting play, because I don't know. I think Rightmove is actually a very, very one of the best return on investments in the state agency if used well, and in terms of agents throw stuff on and wait for the phone to ring. So But what I don't like is the way they treat, and I have been treated since owning my own agency since day dot, whether it's a small independent in Solihull to, you know, what we're doing now with the estate agency. It feels like I am not the customer. It feels like the general public are the customers, which I understand the play. I fully get. But I don't know what it's going to take for. I think at some point in the next few years, there's going to be protests outside their office, but I don't know what it's going to take to get to that stage. I genuinely do. I think not as boycott Rightmove groups and all that stuff, but if they start taking a serious amount of revenue away from agents, I think there's going to be a play that they become even more hated than maybe they are.
You know what? I don't think you can get any worse. I think they're so negatively regarded. They're the business everyone loves to hate. I don't hate them particularly. I don't like being lied to, but I don't particularly hate them. They're a good marketing tool for our business. It works, does what it says on the tin, and I appreciate also that the product was designed to service the consumer, not service us. You know,
we fell into that trap ourselves.
Say that again, Steph.
We fell into that trap ourselves. We gave them the power to treat us the way that they do.
Yeah. I really think if they invested in better customer relations, so relationships with us, if they had more account managers on the ground and were visiting us and having more conversations, people would feel very differently. Because I see that it's an expense, but turn it off tomorrow. Is your business impacted? If it's not, then just turn it off.
People are a little bit short-sighted. So, I mean, I did kick off a little bit. I mean, it's probably a shock to anybody on here that I
can't believe that.
No, I know. I did kick off and I got moved to a different account manager who actually used to be my account manager when I was a conventional agent 17 years ago. So I have a brilliant relationship with her. And whilst does it fill me with joy to see the direct debit come out every month? Absolutely not. But I think I sort of class Rightmove as a cost of doing business. Mm-hmm. It's baked into what I know is going to happen, and it sits there and it is what it is. And I suppose models like ours actually, we get to give a gift to people to say, you know, don't spend all of your profit on Rightmove. Actually, here's a way to do it where you can save some of that profit for yourself. But I work quite closely with that account manager. I'm not going to say her name because everybody will want her, and no, I'm keeping her secret. But actually, she's brilliant. She does add value. She brings ideas to the table that I don't necessarily think about all the time. So I also think you may be a part of the boycott Rightmove group on Facebook. I am mainly for the comments because it gets quite funny at times. You may never want to pay their bill ever again, but you know you're going to anyway, so just shut up and get on with it. But actually get some value back out of it.
I think what's hard though, Steph, is the counter to that is it's working out how to get the value out when you just get absolute, I'm going to go off a tangent, absolute bullshit from your account rep going, oh no, this discovery tool and this featured agent that we offer a great return on investment. You go, well, have you got, for example, the City EC1 bit? No, we've not got that. At Knight Frank, we've got that. Have you got Savills have got that? How long have they had that for? 10 years. But we've got this one, right? And and you're like, oh, brilliant. And it's the bullshit, right? You know, we know this is a great product. Yes, brilliant. And it's just the they've got left over to sell rather than advice. That's the bit that really fucks me off.
Well, for me, I think the one thing I've always found about, you know, if we all look at the backdoor Rightmove Plus is that, and I've raised this with Rightmove in the past, is that the fact that the data reports that we can send to clients haven't changed in 10, 15 years. As long as I've been an agent, they're the same graph, giving the same information. If anything, it was less. They used to give you a click-through rate, and they don't even give you that now. And when you look at the likes of in Australia and America, and the bigger portals over there, they give you everything. How many times was the floor plan clicked? All these intricate bits of information. How long do people spend looking at the photos on average? That could be so useful to us as the customer to then pass on to our clients. But instead, we just get this graph that just shows how many views you have, and you think, well, that's all I can show you. And I think they've got all this data, and you said, Chris, about the data they're sitting on. Huge amounts of data. We don't get, all we get to see is how many views our properties do have. What about everything beyond that? And like you said, the return on investment on things. You know, it's great them saying, yeah, this is a great return on investment. But I bet if you say, oh, can you show me the figures for the actual return on investment agency? They can't show you it. They'll just say
that's a great point, Alex. How do you plug the gap to the agent? Because they could turn around and go, just let you know, this month we've given you this, and this. and actually will educate you to say you've got 9 properties that haven't had their pictures moved in over 6 months or whatever else, or they could actually supply you with data to help you run your business or feedback. But like Steph says, you just wince a little bit, and a bit your soul dies each time the direct debit comes out. And you go, I can't wait for it to be scraped in 3 months to see how many more properties I've got on. So yeah, it's painful.
But they do give us the most important data, which is the consumer data. We get that, yeah. And you could ask Rightmove to provide more and make our lives a bit easier, but they are what they are. Like, this nirvana that can they be this? Can they do that? They do what they do. That's it. They barely even respond to people's complaints about them. This is what we are. If you don't like it, you do not have to use us. That's as simple as it can be. If you were in charge of Rightmove, I mean, that actually happens. Their margins are disgusting. You could probably invest a little bit, but they've won. They're just so far ahead. Our most recent account manager just doesn't even show up to meetings that we arrange. That's how much they don't care. I had one last week. I'm not lying.
4:05, they had a power cut.
Yeah, but maybe it's something about me. No comments. But our last account manager we had previously, she was exceptional. Different area of the world, so probably not the same one as you, Steph. But she was brilliant. Loved her. Went off, had a baby. We go into a different area, and now every time I have an issue, I bug her and say, "Can you help out with this?" Because she's just brilliant. If they had 100 of her, I think people would feel really differently about Rightmove. I genuinely do. But anyway, what a lovely conversation.
We've been really serious today.
Yeah.
It did get a bit serious second half, didn't it? Yeah.
Even the Yorkshire pudding went straight in. That went very serious very quickly.
That's the most serious topic we've covered today. The most important, and we got into the fact that I don't like wobbly things in my mouth. Who does? I just don't answer that. So we've nailed it on time. 3 great guests. We've got to let Alex go because he's got his Christmas #1 music video being recorded in the next hour or so. This goes out.
Did think
today
that
is Buble defrosting in the back. Today is the 20th of December. So Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry
We can
Christmas.
now start to think about Christmas. Thank you, 3 brilliant guests. As always, 3 of you deliver without exception, even you, Buckler.
I was just going to say, Ben, at the end, I am available if any agents want to discuss the self-employed model over the Christmas period. Please do reach out.
And so he doesn't
And then
know
if you
right
want to
now.
join the really great model, you need to call me afterwards.
Oh my God.
And if anyone wants to
Right,
discuss what
Right, I've muted all 3 of them. If anyone's watching, if anyone's listening only, they're all on mute because.
So as I was saying, guys, I'm available.
I thought once you were muted, you couldn't get it off.
No, just DM me. DM me.
Okay. Bye, guys. Wonderful.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye all.